There you go.
All right, we're live, and then I can close that.
All right. So the first case is, did I put that binder back in there?
Yeah, the binder is here.
Okay. Case number 234. This one is the one that did already have a judgment, and then it came to doing the writ, and then there was a CDC declaration turned in from the defendant to the landlord prior to the execution of the writ.
Okay.
What do you have her do when you go? I mean, you're welcome. Do you want to send me an email and then I can also email you a copy of this letter?
Hello, gentlemen. This is Savannah with JP4. I want to let you know that you are on with the judge now. Please make sure that all background noise stays at a non-existent, and that you also don't talk over each other and things like that, because it will drown out whoever is talking, okay?
I'll be talking with the judge, right?
Yes, all three of you. You, Mr. Chesser, and then his attorney, Robert St. Clair.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
Yes, this is Lance Consino, and this is the piece here. And we are looking at the case of Lubbock C&C LC versus Armendariz.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and let's see, will now, Mr. St. Clair, who are you representing? The
I
defendant?
represent Lubbock C&C.
Okay, so you're representing the plaintiff?
Yes, sir.
And David
Armendariz.
Armendariz, okay, is on the line also. And Buddy Chesser, are you the plaintiff?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could I have David and Buddy please to raise your right arm to be sworn in this afternoon? You solemnly
Yes, sir.
or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
I do.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Then I will let the plaintiffs proceed at this time. Who I suppose Robert will be speaking for the plaintiffs.
Yes, Your Honor. This case was filed as an eviction for non-payment of rent for unauthorized pets, as well as unauthorized tenants at the property. There was also delinquent rent allegation made. The eviction petition was filed on August 5th of this year. Mr. Armendariz was served with process. It was returned. The hearing was held on August 25th, 2020. Mr. Armendariz did not appear. The court heard the evidence at that time, signed a judgment for eviction, as well as unpaid rent on August 25th. Then apparently Mr. Armendariz contacted the court, and he can tell his story in a minute. When my client was trying to have the constable evict the tenant. And so, Your Honor, as I understand it, this is an abatement hearing that the court has granted Mr. Armendariz. So actually, I think he needs to let the court know why it should be abated. I mean, the CARES Act does not apply to this case, and I can at this time call my client real quickly to prove that up.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Mr. Chesser, are you the managing member of Lubbock C&C LC, the plaintiff in this case?
Yes, sir.
And is the property involved residential or commercial?
Residential.
And this case was obviously filed after March 27th of this year, right? It was filed in August.
Yes, sir.
Does the property have a federally backed mortgage secured by it?
No, sir.
Does the property participate in any covered federal housing assistance or voucher program?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Mr. Chesser, are there any, is this a multiple resident facility?
No, sir.
No?
No, David Armandares only.
David Armandare, and this is a standalone house then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all the questions that I have for you. Do you have anything further, Mr. St. Clair?
I do not.
Okay. Then David Armandares,
Yes, sir.
this hearing has been called because you filed a CDC declaration. And so the court must validate this, prove this up to see if this is a legitimate declaration or not. So I'm going to let you present your case at this time.
Well, I want to get one thing. I was at the last meeting trial or whatever that we had in August. I mean, I still have the paper, and I did call in and registered in. And when you told me, we had that trial thing, but I did not show up or not call in and everything.
That's fine. That's not really pertinent at this point in time, and I accept that. Thank you for clarifying that. Go ahead with the case now. Why did you file the CDC declaration? Can you tell me about that?
I didn't. Well, sir, that's just it, Your Honor. I haven't been to the court or the county clerk or anything. I haven't filed anything.
You have not?
I mean, I haven't. No, sir. No, sir. I haven't been to the clerk or anything to sign any papers or fill out any papers or request any papers or anything. I just got the stuff in the mail or when the constable brought it over to me. That's the only thing I've gotten. All the papers that I have is when the constable brought it and then what I had gotten in the mail. But as pertaining to going to the courthouse and everything or to the county clerk, wherever you filed these petitions, I didn't do that.
Are you still in the residence?
Yes, sir, I am. Because like I said, I've been trying to find out. I mean, I don't like to use it, but I'm disabled and I'm not supposed to work or anything. I have a bad back and I walk with a cane and I just I'm considered disabled, and so I don't get around like I used to. But as for going and doing that, I didn't. And as for the time, no, I'm not going to deny the fact. I didn't pay the whole rent, but I have paid some rent with the money orders on those months. Maybe not the whole $975, but one time I paid $500. Another time paid, I don't know, $800 or whatever. But this past month, or this month, I paid the full $975. But I'm not denying or saying that I did not pay. I mean, that I did pay the whole rent, because I didn't. But I did pay something, just so to show that I was trying. But as for requesting that petition that you were talking about, Your Honor, I didn't do that, sir, because I haven't filed anything.
You have not filed a CDC declaration?
No, sir. No, sir. I swear to God. No, sir. I haven't done anything. I mean, everything I've heard pertaining to the legality of all of this stuff, I've heard through Mr. Chesser and then what the constable brought me.
Right.
But as for going, pardon, sir?
As to why after the eviction hearing that we held, you did not vacate, why is that?
Well, sir, that COVID stuff was starting to come up, and I've got real bad, I've got a medical condition and everything, and I just didn't want to, take the chance. They said it was easy. I was very susceptible to it, and I just didn't take the chance. And plus, I don't have a vehicle, and I'd have to follow, go on the bus and everything. And so I do walk around the neighborhood to be able to look for some of these places. But it's not like, I mean, if I could find a place and get it, I'd have been out of here, long time ago. But I just, I'm just going with the way I can. And, and that kind of surprised me that the attorney man said that you said, sir, that I filed that stuff, which I didn't. But it's not that, I just don't have any other place to go. I'll be homeless otherwise. And pertaining to my health and everything and my disability, it wouldn't be a good thing for me. And so, I just tried, and I've stayed in contact with Mr. Chesser to let him know what was going on. But, that's all I got. So, I mean, I can't say that I did this and I did that when I didn't. And like I said, what really surprises me is somebody filing that petition or whatever and saying that I did it and I didn't do it.
Okay, hold on just a moment. Let me ask Mr. Chesser and Mr. St. Clair, do you have a CDC declaration on file? Did you receive?
No, Your Honor. I talked to the constable, and what I understand happened is an attorney in town named Blaze Taylor sent a letter to my client or an email saying that that this property was covered by the CDC reg that was issued shortly prior to that email or letter. And so the constable, I think, got nervous, and that's kind of what happened. I've never seen the required documentation. I thought maybe it was going to be presented today, and apparently it's not. So I think that really kind of should hopefully conclude the hearing for the court. But we don't have it. I've never seen it. I don't think there is one. Obviously, Mr. Armendariz doesn't know anything about it. I did get a response back to an email I sent to the lawyer, and he said, well, we've represented Mr. Armendariz in the past. We're not going to do anything else on this. I told him why it just didn't apply, the CARES Act, and that's the last I've heard from him.
Okay. Then it appears that the declaration is invalid, and I'm going to mark down here that it's because none was ever filed. That is the finding of this court from the evidence presented by both the plaintiff and the defense.
Your Honor, when you get through with that, I've got a question.
Yes, sir. Hold on just a moment. Let me write this down before I forget it. Okay, and I am signing that on October 13th, 2020. And this hearing is officially over. Then you had a question, Mr. St. Clair?
Your Honor, I just want to make sure that my client can get the constable back out there. And do I need to send the court some kind of an order, or is the constable going to know that this hearing has been held and that my client can go ahead and proceed with the eviction?
The constable, if I may, Judge, the constable does still currently have the writ in his office. And the judge actually has an order stating, and by the way that he spoke, that he's stating that he is not granting the abatement. Therefore, the constable can go ahead and go to the premises to vacate it.
Super. I appreciate that clarification. I just didn't know how it worked paperwork wise. That's all we have, Judge.
Okay. Then are there any other questions from any other parties?
What is happening, sir? I mean, what do I need to do now?
You'll need to vacate the premises, sir. The eviction is upheld as it was ruled on back in August, and this abatement hearing has made sure that there is nothing that would change that.
But do I have some time to get my stuff out of here?
You will have until the writ of execution, writ of possession is actually executed. You'll have a few days. I would move fairly quickly on this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, how much time do I have, sir?
I can't tell you how much time you have.
As the clerk's office speaking for the constable, I'm going to assume that he's going to feel like he needs to do another 24-hour notice. So I'm assuming that that's going to be the time that's going to be allotted to you, Mr. Armendariz.
And I'm asking, could I have 72?
That's not up to the court. All of these timeframes are written in the property code for the Texas law. It's not something that any judge or constable can override, unfortunately.
So how much time do I have actually? I mean, do I have 48 hours?
Once the constable comes and posts it, I'll let him know today. He does know of the hearing. So once the constable comes and posts it, then that will have your 24-hour notice on there. And then he will contact Mr. Chesser and set up a date and time to go out there to remove your belongings. If you have any other questions for the process of the writ or anything else, feel free to call me. My number is 775-1541.
1541?
1541. The judge cannot assist with any legal advice. Neither can I, but I will assist with the process and what comes next. Okay.
Okay, so when the constable comes and puts that notice on the door, I'll have 48 hours, 24 hours? How many
No.
did you say?
Like I said, Mr. Armendariz, you're going to need to contact me on that number, that 1541, because this
Okay,
hearing
all right.
is as of now, it's concluded. Okay.
All right. Can I call you at that number today? Right now?
Yes, you can call immediately.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. And we are,
Thank you, Judge. Have a good day.
you too. Bye-bye now.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay. The next one is 249. It's Steve Clark. So you have him and Melissa Welch, which is his, just have him hold for me. Melissa Welch, which is his representative. And then the defendants, Tracy Garcia, Ashley Hewlin, they're both on here also. Melissa Welch does have a witness for her dispute of the CDC declaration. So I'm not going to have the witness come in until we're actually ready to hear her statement.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't want her on hold too long. So
Right.
once we get that, we can kind of go from there, I guess.
Okay. So,
All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring everybody over.
yeah.
Hello, this is Savannah with JP4. Can everyone hear me today?
Yes.
Okay. And Miss Welch, I do have a Amber Workman. She was checked in for court and she is on the line, but we're going to wait and bring her over when it's time to hear her statement.
Sure.
Okay. I show that Tracy was on here, but I'm assuming she got disconnected and the meeting is locked at this point. I don't know if she's going to come back on or not.
Okay.
I see two here, Melissa and Ashley.
And Mr. Steve Clark is present as well.
Okay, Mr. Okay. Okay. My name is I'm Justice of the Peace here. Whose puppy is that?
It's mine.
And
If I may, Miss Hewlin, every time that dog barks, it's going to drown out whoever is speaking, including the judge. So we're going to need the puppy either put up or you're going to have to remain muted until it's time for you to speak. Okay.
Okay.
do you need a moment to do that, or sounds like it's quiet now?
She's just going to mute Judge and then she'll unmute when it's time for her to speak. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the plaintiff and
Oh, one more moment. Tracy Garcia is back on.
okay.
She got disconnected, so I unlocked it. Just let her connect to audio. Bear with me a moment, please.
Okay. Okay, so if you want.
Hello,
to
Miss
write
Garcia?
something on a piece of paper, that you're wanting to schedule it.
Can you hear me?
Schedule it, and for what reason, I'll give it to the judge.
Ms. Garcia, can you hear me? Hello, Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to make sure you can hear me. You are in court with Melissa Welch, Steve Clark, and with Ashley Hewlin and the judge. Make sure you keep all background noise to a minimum. If your background does get a little noisy, it's going to block anyone else out. So just keep yourself muted until it's time for you to speak, okay?
How long until it starts?
It's starting now, ma'am. You're already on.
All right.
Okay. Now, let me have all Ashley, Tracy, Melissa, and Steve, anyone who will be speaking to me, to raise your right hand to be sworn in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
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 Thank you. That's everybody. Okay, this hearing today, this afternoon, is on contesting the CDC declaration that has been filed. May I ask, was it filed by Tracy and Ashley? Have you both filed a CDC declaration?
Yes.
Yes.
Both of you signed separate CDC application?
Yes.
Yes.
And okay, then this hearing is called because the plaintiffs, which would be Mr. Steve Clark and also Melissa Welch, are contesting this. So I will ask you to present your evidence, please.
Okay. First of all, I would like to note that our eviction was filed prior to the CDC ordinance going back into place. But I have evidence presented that I emailed over to you, a statement written from Amber Workman that she hired Ashley Hewlin to clean her home. She was paid $50 for that to be able to clean her home for her. While she was there, she did also mention, which is in the written statement as well, she had mentioned that she's done multiple other jobs, including one that she received $2,000 payment from a realtor from cleaning another house, which we were unable to verify that one, but we do have the statement from Amber. In addition, at our last hearing, Ashley Hewlin stated on record that she was receiving weekly unemployment benefits. Tracy Garcia is also employed and has been employed, and her job has not been affected by COVID. We have it on her application that she works for Lennox Air Conditioning, which we were unable to verify. I did see a check stub when they moved in to verify that, but I have not been able to verify her employment directly with Lennox. However, Steve Clark was there at the property that they live at doing a service request and did witness Tracy exiting her vehicle, her service van, with her Lennox shirt on. So I do believe that that's evidence in itself that she is currently employed. She did state that she received $3,600 a month on her rental application, is what she had submitted to us when they moved in. Also, we have not received any type of correspondence from any companies willing to offer assistance during these times of the pandemic. We have not received any contact from any assistance programs or from Tracy or from Ashley. And not only that, but we have not received any payment since our last hearing. And during that hearing, they did state that they had a payment of at least $1,000 while we were in our last hearing. We have not received that payment either. And that's pretty much what we have as
The
evidence.
last payment we received was in July.
Yes, July was the last payment we received.
The only payment.
When was the eviction hearing?
Our last hearing, oh gosh, I don't remember the date. It was about, I think it was a month ago today, exactly. Let me look here.
Back in September, the beginning
Yes,
of.
sir. And yes, our eviction was actually filed on August 20th, the initial eviction. Our first hearing was scheduled for September 8th, but they did file a continuance for the following Tuesday, which is when we heard our case.
So September 15th was when.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Okay, do you have anything further to mention to the court?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to call your witness now or do you want to wait?
I can call my witness now.
You may go ahead and do that then.
Okay, let me bring her over. And she has not been sworn in yet, Judge. Miss Workman?
Yes.
Thank you. This is Savannah with Judge Cancino's office in Precinct 4 for Lubbock County. I do have you on the line with Melissa Welch, Ashley, and Tracy, and Judge Cancino. Melissa Welch is going to kind of ask you some questions, and you'll kind of give your statement from there.
Of course.
Yes, Miss Workman, if you'll raise your right hand to be sworn in this afternoon, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Then I will let Melissa ask you some questions.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Amber. How are you today?
Hello.
I was wanting to inquire about the statement that you wrote in regards to Ashley Hewlin entering your home to perform work cleaning your house.
Okay. Very simple. It's exactly that. I hired her to clean my kitchen, paid her $50 to do so, and never got a receipt for services.
Okay. Did she mention while she was there that she has performed other jobs and received other income from other sources of work?
She did. She was telling me about a realtor she met named Donna, something like that. She was cleaning out a hoarder's property with a crew of 3 people and was received $2,000 for just that job alone. So she seems like she'd been very busy cleaning.
Okay. Did she provide you with a receipt?
No, and I asked twice.
Okay. How did you pay her?
Cash.
Okay. No further questions.
Okay.
Do you have anything further to add, Amber?
No, sir. Oh,
Not at this time.
Okay. Stay on the line and we may come back to you in just a moment.
Yes, sir.
Let me, Ashley and Tracy I've not allowed you yet to make an opening statement. I'll allow you to do that, and then you can proceed to ask Amber questions if you want to do that. If you'll make an opening statement, either Ashley or Tracy, please.
Yes, I will. As for the getting assistance from the government, I do receive $207 unemployment. I've also contacted Catholic Family Services. I'm supposed to be receiving a check for them to help with rent. Sorry, sir, I'm looking for the other piece of paper. Where did it go?
$7 per week?
Yes, per week.
Okay.
To direct the situation with Amber, I did clean her kitchen for $50, and I never once told her that I made $2,000. I told her I made $1,000 when I first moved to Lubbock, which was 2.5 years ago, on a hoarder's house. That was where the $1,000 came in, but it was nowhere near anytime soon or recently. It was 2.5 years ago, and it was the very first job I got whenever I moved to Lubbock.
Have you been able to find regular work doing cleaning recently?
No, but I did start a new job at the Holiday Inn, and I started last Thursday. And I'm actually supposed to be going back to work as soon as this is over.
I see. And at the Holiday Inn, you'll be doing
Front desk.
front desk work. Okay. And has your income been reduced during this COVID time?
Yes.
And why is that?
Well, I started losing clients due to them not wanting me in their home. And as Miss Welch knows, when we first moved into this house, we were scammed out of $1,300 moving into another house. So whenever we moved into the house, not only did we pay the $2,450 to move in, we were scammed out of $1,300. We had to stay in a hotel for a month and pay our storage fees. And Tracy only makes $16 an hour. So that was nowhere near able to afford paying the additional 1,100 that we got, that I ended up leaving the money orders at the wrong address. So it's just been one financial burden after another. And yes, I'm working now, but $207 is nothing compared to what I was making.
And how much is your monthly rent?
1,100
1,100, and that's divided,
or 1,195. I'm sorry.
1,195, almost 1,200 divided between the two of you.
Yes,
So almost $600 a month apiece.
correct.
And you have had income reduction as a result of COVID, and that's why you filed the declaration.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anything further you'd like to tell me?
No, that I'm trying, and if Miss Welch and Steve Clark would be willing to work, we will get caught up, because now I am working a full-time job. The $207 I'm no longer getting because I did return to full-time work. And I have nothing else to add.
Okay. Then I need to hear from Ms. Garcia.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And I understand that you also have filed a declaration, a CDC declaration.
Yes.
Okay. And would you tell me about the circumstances of that? Why you filed that?
I filed it because I'm the only one working, and we just fell behind, and me having to make up for two incomes to be able to afford the rent I just couldn't do it alone. So that's why I filed.
Have you had a reduction of income during this time of COVID? We may have lost you. Frozen there.
Hello?
Ms. Garcia, we lost you there for a moment.
Yeah, sorry about that. We're in the van. We're driving right now.
Okay. What I was asking is, have you had a reduction of income in the last several months?
Yes, we were scheduled to 40 hours a week because of the COVID, and now they're giving us our open hours now.
Where is it that you work?
I work for Lennox National Account Services.
Lennox National Account. And you had been working 40 hours a week, and you're working less than that now because of
No, they cut our overtime. No, and we were only scheduled to 40 there, and now they given us our overtime back. So now I can work extra hours.
Oh, I see. How many hours were you working before? Before the COVID reduction?
Like 60, 65, and then they cut us down to 40, and then now we're able to come back and get our overtime.
I see. Okay. So you are testifying that you had a reduction of income in the last several months due to the COVID crisis?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Is there anything further that you'd like to tell me about this afternoon?
Yes, Miss Welch mentioned something about last time I said I had the $1,000. Last time I was asked by you how much am I short on rent, and I told you $1,000. So I don't know where she's getting that I had $1,000 when I was asked I was short by $1,000. So I never had $1,000 to give in rent.
How now you're back with overtime, and Miss Hewlin is back on a full-time job again, and so you are going to be rapidly able to catch up at this point? What time frame are we looking at?
Yes.
What time frame are we looking at? Within a couple of weeks, or what are we looking at?
I can't hear you. Someone else is talking in the background.
I don't hear anybody else in the background right now. I was asking how long it would take you to catch up.
Like, so you want us to give the full rent payment or just the half, as you mentioned last time?
No, I don't think I ever mentioned a half. I mentioned that and it's obviously split between the two of you, but we
Okay.
are actually having essentially separate hearings for the two of you. But I was asking
Okay.
when the two of you can come up with the full payment.
By the end of this month.
May
Right.
I say something, Judge?
Yes, Ms. Hewlin?
I don't receive my first paycheck for 3 weeks because I started in the end of their work period. So I actually don't get my first paycheck for 3 weeks.
Okay. All right. Okay, let me go back to Melissa Welch and just ask about the situation. Is there, I think that there has been a reduction of income shown by both Ms. Garcia and Ms. Hewlin. Is there any way that you can work this out with them?
Like I said on earlier with the payment, they claimed that they had a payment exactly almost 1 month ago when we had our first hearing. We have not received any payment. So even with the reduction, they said before you in your courtroom that they had a payment. She said she was $1,000 short on the amount that we filed for during that eviction, which was $1,775.50. They currently owe $2,950, including October's rent, which will go up another $1,195 as of November 1st. I just don't see how they'll be able to catch up, considering they have made no attempt to remedy or rectify any of the rent that's been owed thus far. We have not received any kind of communication from any assistance programs. And I know she stated that Catholic Family Services would be helping, but I'm curious as to how they would be. Catholic Family Services mails checks to the landlord, because I've received assistance payments from Catholic Family Services in the past, and they would mail a check directly to the owner. Therefore, they contact the owner's agent or the owner directly to verify the rent amount and get a mailing address. We have not received any contact nor communication from any other agency or any person willing to help them. And because they have made no attempt, $50 would have at least shown us that they were attempting to pay and attempting to do the right thing, but they made no attempt whatsoever. In addition to, I know she was receiving her weekly unemployment, but she stated that she moved to Lubbock 2.5 years ago in her testimony. But when she took possession of our home, she had everything she owned in her Tahoe and said she had just moved to Lubbock a week before that. So I'm not sure if she was lying at that point and she had maybe just been evicted from her previous residence here in Lubbock. But I was under the impression she's only been in Lubbock for about 4 or 5 months now.
When was this lease originally done?
July 16th, I believe. Let me look at the date. July 16th. And they had stated they did rent a house from a man that I guess let them move in, but then he changed his mind and didn't want to lease the house to them. So they did lose about, I can't remember the exact amount. When she had originally reached out to me about our home, I did. And I told her, I said, I'm very sorry that happened to you. I even investigated the guy and reported him for fraudulently taking their money. I reported him to the agency, just so that way nobody else would get scammed. But, they came up with their first month's rent and their security deposit. They both showed evidence of being able to afford to pay the rent. Neither of them works in an industry in which COVID has affected their employment. AC technicians are all still in business. I personally own a cleaning business as well as managing my rental properties. I have not, along with the other 100 cleaning companies in this town, have not suffered losses due to COVID. In fact, people want us there to clean for them. She did tell me when she first moved here, she of course, I was under the impression she just moved here in July. So I had told her how difficult it is to get a cleaning business going in this town because there's a lot of competition. And I even offered her a job when she first moved here, to try to help kind of fill in her gaps, because I knew she didn't have a whole lot of work right away. And she did not show up for the first day of the job that I offered her. That was back in July. maybe the 1st of August. I can't remember the exact date, but there's been ample opportunity given to both of them. And I do firmly believe, just as Amber Workman paid her $50, I'm sure there's several other clients that she has done work for that have paid her under the table that she has not filed or shown while she was receiving unemployment. She didn't show any of that income. And so, to say that Amber Workman's $50 is the only amount of money she's received, when I personally have entered that home and seen all the brand new TVs and all the brand new furniture and the big giant swimming pool in the backyard. The fact that they travel almost every weekend for Ashley's daughter's softball team, where they're staying in motels and things like that. Their lifestyle has not been affected by COVID. The reason they're able to attain the lifestyle they're living is due to the fact that they have not paid their rent, and they're living rent free for the last 3 months.
Did they make an initial?
May I address Melissa?
Ma'am, just hold on a moment.
Sir?
Yes, Ms. Welch, did they make a payment initially?
They did. The day they signed their lease, they wanted to take possession of the home immediately because they had been scammed out of that money. So I signed the lease. I think I met her on the 15th, showed her the house. And then that evening they filled out the rental applications, and I met with her around noon before she was heading out of town on the 16th. I think they were going out of town for a softball tournament that weekend. So I met with her on the 16th in the afternoon, probably around 1 or 2 p.m. And I did receive the first month's rent and deposit right then. They paid it via Venmo. And that was the only payment we've received. We haven't received another dollar.
And that first payment, was it for half a month? Was it for a full month? What was?
It was $11.95 for the rent and $11.95 for the deposit.
Okay, and that would have covered them the first month, which would starting the 16th until the 16th of August then, or?
No, sir. It actually, we charged the first full month up front, and then we prorate their second month. So technically they owed $580.50 would have been for the remainder of July, but that was actually due in August because we collect the first full month up front and prorate the second month.
It would have been due on August 1st.
On August 1st, yes.
First they would have owed $580.
$580.50 plus they owed an additional $500 in a pet fee that they failed to pay as well for their dogs.
Okay. So they have pets, but it has never, they have never paid a pet fee on that.
That's correct. They have 3 dogs. On the rental application, they did say that they had 2. When I entered the home to hang mini blinds, when they moved in that weekend, I came in with the maintenance technician to hang blinds, and there's 3 dogs in that house. And so they're in violation of their lease contract there as well.
That was not filed on your eviction though, was it?
No, sir.
Okay, then I'll pause a moment and go back to Ashley Hewlin.
Your Honor, could I say something?
Yes, Steve, you may.
The point is, they haven't paid, they haven't even tried to pay anything in 3 months, and this is a financial burden on me because I've got obligations I've got to meet. And they haven't even tried to pay, not even a little bit. And that's just, it's not right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hewlin, you want to speak? Go ahead.
No, I have nothing further because obviously it's not going to work out with us. And the reason I haven't attempted to pay is because Melissa Welch told me that she wouldn't be accepting any other payment at all. And as far as us not being financially burdened, it has nothing to do with my daughter's softball tournament or softball tournaments. We have been playing here in Levelland and Lubbock. Levelland is only 30 minutes away. Her coach has been paying her tournament fee. As far as us not struggling, we have our LP&L bill got disconnected and we were without electricity for a week because we didn't have a payment. Our car was on the repo list. Our car doesn't, we've had 2 blown out tires because we can't afford to get tires. And for her to say that it's my daughter's fault for softball is a little bit ridiculous. She has no idea what my daughter does.
How about partial payments? Why have you not made at least partial payments? Tell me about that.
Because we had to pay to get the electricity turned back on, which was like $400 and something. Our car payment was 3 months behind as well. It has nothing to do with we've just been getting back and back and back and back. Just everything just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up. But as far as us not paying anything, we didn't even know we had a choice to just pay them $50, or we would have. But Melissa Welch sent me a message saying that she would not be accepting any further payments. And then we went to the eviction hearing, and then the CDC thing. So I didn't know I could only pay $50 a month.
I didn't say, Judge, if I may, I didn't say that $50 a month would be sufficient for a payment. I just said as long as they were trying to pay something, even if it was just $50, that would have been better than nothing. And the message that she's referring to was sent prior to the initial eviction hearing that we had back in September, where I told her we would not accept any payments further at that time, just strictly because we had a court eviction hearing in place. So I wanted to make sure that she understood that we would not be accepting payment at that time until after our hearing, which you did order her during the last hearing. You ordered her and Tracy both and you made them understand that they did need to make some sort of attempt to continue trying to pay. You made that abundantly clear in the last hearing. You said it 3 or 4 times, and they said that they understood. So for her to say now that she didn't know she didn't have to pay or anything else, I'm not sure where that's coming from, since you made yourself abundantly clear on the last hearing.
I'm not saying I didn't know or understand that I had to pay. We have not been able to afford to pay anything. But now I'm back to working a full-time job.
Okay.
Judge, if I may, if we don't have any other questions for Amber Workman, is it okay to just let her off the line?
Yes, yes, you may let her leave.
Okay, and Amber, you didn't have anything else to add, did you? Okay, I know she was at work, so, but yeah, if no one else has any other further questions, I wanted to let her leave the hearing.
Thank you so much.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, then we have a situation where, based on the CDC declarations, we have testimony that both Ashley and Tracy have had income reductions due to COVID. Let me clarify. Let's see, Ashley, is it you work with independently with the cleaning service?
Correct.
And Tracy works with Lennox?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you are testifying that Lennox reduced your overtime because of the COVID crisis.
Yes, and just because I do AC doesn't mean that every company's different. It don't matter who you work for. If Lennox has a standard, then you gotta go by it.
I think that based on the evidence that has been presented, unfortunately, fortunately for one side and fortunate for the other side, I think the declaration is valid. And this case will be abated until January 1st. And unfortunately, that means that the eviction process cannot proceed until January 1st. We will have another hearing at that point in time. I would caution the defendants that the entire amount of rent will always be due. That will be for the entire number of months between July and January 1st. And so this does not mean that you do not owe. And if you can make partial payments, that is part of the CDC declaration, that partial payments are to be made in the meantime. And of course, that would be considered by this court to be a crucial factor when we come back to hear this after January 1st, as to whether any partial payments were made between this time and January 1st. And so I am ruling this to be valid, the declaration to be valid, and staying the execution of the eviction until January 1st. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do I make the payment money order or do I pay cash to his drop box at his house? Miss Welch?
Either
A money order.
money orders
Okay.
preferred, but and make sure that receipts and such, and make sure that records are kept of this, because the court will require this. It sounds like we'll be back again in January.
Can I ask, on what grounds are you, I mean, they didn't provide any evidence whatsoever that they've attempted to contact agencies for assistance. They have not provided evidence that they have not received income or that wages were garnished or lowered. We've produced all the evidence that what they're saying is false, that they have worked. Tracy put on her application, she received $3,600 per month in income prior to COVID and prior to, I mean, any of this stuff being in place. And lastly, we filed our eviction prior to the CDC order being instated. And they were already delinquent prior to that by 2 months. So I'm just curious as to on what grounds are you basing your decision?
The grounds are that the defendants testified that they have had an income reduction, and I have no evidence, no absolute bona fide evidence that that what they have said is not true. And based on that, I cannot rule in favor of the plaintiff until we have this set aside until January 1st.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
I would like to know how I'm going to meet my obligations without any income.
That I do not know, sir. I understand the difficulty for all involved. Understand my difficulty in deciding a case like this. All I can go on is, of course, testimony on all sides, and testimony from, I would say, from all sides has been deficient in my consideration. Therefore, I have to go on personal testimony. I'm sorry for your situation. I really do feel for all the landlords who are faced with the same sort of difficulties, just as there are many tenants who have indeed gone through a very difficult time with this. And we are all in a terrible situation because of this COVID shutdown.
Tenants that are working the system is what it is.
That may be the case, and there will be a time to prove that up at a later time. My hands are tied at this time. I must go with the testimony. Thank you, and I wish all of you the very best this afternoon.
Okay, Judge. The last one is the Terry Ewings and Anthony Rodriguez.
Okay.
Okay, what's the name?
Anthony Rodriguez, can you hear me?
Yes, this is his wife,
Okay.
Lacey Rodriguez. He'll be back in just a second. He had to use the restroom.
Okay, and Terry Ewings?
Yes.
Okay, you are both on with the judge. He will be hearing your case from here. If there's any background noise or anything, it will mute out whoever is speaking. So if any of that occurs in your location, please press mute until it's time for you to speak, okay?
Okay.
Oh,
So we are waiting on Anthony Rodriguez.
yes, sir.
Okay. And
Well, Judge, Anthony Rodriguez and Lacey Rodriguez are both on the eviction.
okay.
Get up and go.
So is Lacey Rodriguez there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Oh, okay. And we're waiting, still waiting on Anthony.
Yes, he'll be out in just a second.
It's just that one over there.
Judge, if you want to proceed without him, that's fine. He'll be here in just a minute.
I think we're going to have to go ahead at this point.
Okay.
Both of you, Anthony and Lacey, you are married?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Representing the family in this case. Mr. Ewings, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. If I could have Lacey and Terry to both raise your right hands to be sworn in this afternoon. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Then we will hear from these two. If Anthony comes back, let me know.
I sure will.
We'll swear him in at that time.
Okay.
I will go to Mr. Ewings. You are contesting the CDC declaration that has been filed by Anthony and Lacey Rodriguez. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And on what grounds are you contesting this?
Not paying the rent.
Failure to pay timely rent or possible rent, partial or a timely full payment. In our
Okay.
best effort.
Go ahead.
As the hearing was done on the 15th of September, there was instructions of perjury given to make a payment that day. It was made very clear that a payment was needed that day. It was also made very clear that payment would be made. All I had to do was go to the bank. They were at a job site. They had to get to the bank, and then they would make a payment that day. By 2:30 in the afternoon, we were getting a text that says we will not be making payment. Our unemployment wasn't what it's supposed to be, and we could not do our job that we were at, and we'll not do it till tomorrow. And there was no payment made that day. There was no payment paid for 26 days. So, I mean, it was very clear that a payment was due, and everybody understood in the group to make that payment. And as the evidence that we've put forth, there's no payment was made, and just lots of text of stories saying, you know, they weren't going to be able to make payments.
Okay. Now you said for 26 days, so a payment was just recently made?
October the 11th was the first payment made.
And that was for
the month of July.
how much? That was October
It
11th.
was 760.
700.
For the month of July payment that was already 4 months late.
I see.
And we should have $100 in extra since I made an $860 payment back
When?
in. The $860 was made.
That went on the electric bill. It went on the electric bill.
Irregardless, 4 months without payment.
It was made on July 19th.
That was the last payment.
Yes, and it was made for $860.
But it still was 4 months late.
Of course, yes, you're right.
And it was clear that there would be payment was going to be made on September 15th. You said all you had to do was go to the bank. As you said, at least twice a month for the last 4 months. Just need to go to the bank, and no payments were ever made.
Okay. Miss Rodriguez,
Yeah.
why have you been so far behind on this rent?
For the months of April, May, and June, we had no income whatsoever, none, until unemployment. In December, on December 31st, our truck was stolen from my work, my employment of work. We weren't able to get a vehicle again. Until we got when we were saving money previous, but we weren't able to buy a vehicle until we received our unemployment back pay. And that's when we purchased, and we paid cash because we knew we could not make payments on anything. That vehicle has broken down a lot of times since then. We've spent a lot of money on this vehicle. That's been the majority of our problem. Another problem is it was hard to save money for rent, for bills, for any of it. Our unemployment amount has changed drastically within the last 4 or 5 months. You don't know what you're receiving. It's so confusing on how first of all, the first month or so, the extra $600 was great. Then that was taken away, and it went back down to $186 a week. And then it went back up to $456 a week. And then now it's back down again. It just was difficult to know what you were receiving. And then the process date, when you do, they're so busy you can't speak to anyone. Also, when the process date changes, I call in on a certain day of our day that we need to reclaim payment, and the process date changes so much we don't know when it's going to come in. So I can tell Mr. Ewing, yes, we're going to make this payment because it's going to come on this day, and it doesn't come. It doesn't come for 2 or 3 more days later, and then it comes short. So that is the reason of why of all the text and things saying I'm going to pay this, I'm going to pay that. It just was a confusing situation for everyone.
It's also clear that you've been late since January on every month.
Can we state how many days late on each month? Up till March. I think I was only a couple of days late.
Just a moment. Got it. Okay.
Hello. Please leave a message after the tone.
Okay.
We've submitted the evidence of all the late payments. They're at least a month and 15 days late for every month except for one, and it was only like 10 days late. But this has been going on since January.
Before the virus.
And also all the
Sir,
text.
can I remind you guys that we are here to talk for the CDC declaration?
Okay. The CDC says, I am assuming all best efforts to make timely and partial payments, and you did not do that for 4 months.
Sir,
And in my point of view, I made best efforts.
that is sufficient.
If we can just remind ourselves that we're not speaking to each other, you're speaking to the judge. You could not figure this out prior to court, so that's why the judge is here to make his decision. So if you can please stop addressing each other and address the judge unless he asks otherwise. Thank you.
Okay. See, are we back? Are we back on now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
From now on, I want to hear from each of you in order when I ask you, and you will only respond to my question. understand that?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Ewings?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then otherwise we can't make head nor tails from this. Now, Ms. Rodriguez, you are testifying that you had problems, of course. You have testified that you had problems before beginning in December. And
Yes,
that,
sir.
when was this lease taken out? When did you,
November of 2019.
what month?
I'll have to pull the lease just a second.
Mr. Ewings, can you tell me when the lease was initiated?
November. Yeah.
It was November 19th, sir.
November of 2019. Okay.
November.
Beginning with the first payment in January, there was a problem and you were behind. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Our truck was stolen December 31st, and since then we have had problems ever since. And all of my husband's work tools were taken. A lot of items were in the truck, in the toolbox.
Okay. Now, then,
My husband is here, Judge. He just showed up.
How you doing, Judge?
I'm doing fine. Is this Anthony Rodriguez?
Yes, it is, sir.
Sir, if you'll raise your right hand to be sworn in this afternoon. You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have so far heard is that there were problems prior to March, that you had a truck stolen, had lost some tools, and that this affected your employment. And made a purchase of a truck, that you've had problems with that during this time also.
That is correct, sir.
Has your employment been affected by the COVID crisis?
Absolutely.
And tell me how that is.
There's different ways. Since my wife has an underlying condition, since our truck got stolen and my tools, that's what I do. I do remodels and I work for myself and various people. That's what I do every day is I try to go out and find work. I advertise because of the COVID. People didn't want to hire me. They didn't want to, and I don't blame them, to do remodels at their house or add-ons or anything. So it's been kind of hectic on that part. Although we do shuffle and beat the bushes enough to where every now and then we'll land a job and I'll have to bid it cheap to where I can have something coming in.
Now, why is it that since July, I don't think you've made a payment whatsoever?
We've had car issues, and then just the normal, trying to get by, mainly the car issues and it's a domino effect, as you probably know. I've got 4 daughters, and some of them, actually 3 of them got their jobs taken away due to that because of the pandemic. And I made them kids, so I'm going to take care of them if I have to. They usually do pretty good on their own, so I can't tell them that I'm not going to help them. I try a little bit I can here and there, and I don't mean nothing, but they're females and they're they can't go out and mow grass and do this and that. But I mean,
are they adults? Sir, are they living with you or?
They live in Dallas, yes, sir. Yeah, I'm trying to keep everybody, from being on the streets. But and we have family and stuff, but they also, I've had, 4 or 5 family members actually have get the corona and stuff, and so anyway, it's just been a little bit crazy there. But since we moved to town, usually my word of mouth gets me work, but since we moved to town and don't know that many people, it's been a little bit tough there.
And then all of this.
And all this going on also, it's just nobody wants to really do anything. That's the truth. Yes, sir.
Let me go back to Mr. Ewing. How far behind? Is it just since July now that has all the rent prior to July been paid?
Yes, sir.
Oh, he's talking to Mr. Ewing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Ewing?
Prior to July.
Mr. Ewing, has all the rent owed prior to July been paid? Hello?
Yes, because of the payment that was made in October. In October, that covered, before this, when this hearing started, it was June.
Okay. They were paid through June? We lost Mr. Ewing. Mr. Ewing, I guess we've lost you. Is that a bird coming? Is that coming from Lacey's phone?
What is it? I'm sorry, sir.
It almost sounds like a bird. Is that a bird in the background?
Yes, yes, sir. We are actually at the. I couldn't do this at my house because, as you see, you lost Mr. Ewing. We live right across the street from them, so the service out in that area is terrible, and I just didn't want to lose you guys while on the phone with this important situation. So I am actually in the Walmart parking lot under a tree in my car. So I know that sounds a little funny, but that's what we had to do to make sure we had good service.
And we have lost Mr. Ewing currently.
Yes, and that was the problem I didn't want to have.
Okay, we're seeing if we can get him back.
And if that is bothering you, I can definitely roll up the windows and.
Well, that will be fine until we get him back. When he comes back, I'll probably.
Or I can mute.
Savannah, we lost Mr. Ewing.
Yes, I do have him on the phone, Judge.
Okay.
He's trying to get back in now. He's just, his computer's loading it.
Okay.
But as soon as he's back in, I will put him back into the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll pause for a moment.
All right, Judge, he connected. He's coming back in. Give him just a moment to connect to audio. Mr. Earwings, can you hear us?
No, I just don't want to smoke it.
Mr. Ewings? Mr. Ewings? Mr. Ewings?
Well, now I only have one, Judge.
Hello, Mr. Ewings?
Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez, are you still on the line?
I think we've lost them.
So I'm here. This is Luis Anthony Rodriguez. I'm still here.
Oh, okay, you're still on there. Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Ewings? I can't even see their screen, Judge.
And it's not showing up on mine either. The Rodriguez's aren't.
I'm here. Oh,
There's Mr. Ewings.
Okay, well, as long as we can. I don't know where the other, they're still on there, audio, so. we
Uh,
can see
I'm
them.
here.
Tell them we can't get on. Sir, we were not able to get online.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can hear you. Did you call in
That's
by?
what I was looking at. I was like, what
We
happened?
called in by phone.
Okay.
Oh, that's weird.
We didn't have any
Okay,
way.
do you want to
video.
just, instead of doing it on the computer, do you want to do it on the phone? Just call in on that number? Okay, just do that. Just call in on the number. Yes, sir. Okay, Judge, he's going to disconnect and go ahead and
Call in.
call in on the Zoom because I guess they're having some computer issues. So just a short recess, I suppose, and then we'll get him back on there.
Okay. Sounds good.
Get back on. I'm probably gonna have to, I'll get him back on and I'm gonna have to leave.
Oh, that's right.
And the good hearing is gonna last as
Yeah, no. These
long.
problems.
So you'll have to I'll leave the meeting. So you'll just have to finish closing out and then
Just close everything down.
and just put everything out.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Hello.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, that sounds clearer.
Okay.
for whatever reason that the Zoom doesn't work on audio anymore on our side.
Okay. We're trying to get the other party.
Yes, we're here.
Rodriguez's are back in also.
Yes. Phone number ending in 919. That is Mr. Ewing's. Is that correct?
No, we're 8237.
3919 is the Rodriguez's.
Okay.
So Anthony and Lacey, you're on different lines, or?
No, sir. No, sir. We're here together.
Oh, okay. I'm showing two Rodriguez's. There, okay, maybe it changed to you.
I had to fix it, Judge. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, do we have both parties on the line now, the Rodriguez's and Mr. Ewing?
Yes, sir.
Ewing's, okay. Mr. Ewing's, before we got interrupted for technical difficulties there, I was asking a question about the time of the timing of the violations to the contract, and you are testifying that there were violations to your contract beginning in January this year. That there was late. Was it late?
Yes.
January?
Yes, it started in January, it's late. Then later damages that we found later in the year.
Later, so January and February, there were before COVID, they were late on their rent.
Correct.
And March.
And March 1st also.
Correct. They've been late on every month before the virus
Okay.
in 2020.
And how far behind are they at this point in time?
3 months.
So was it in July, they were able to catch up with all previous months for the year?
No, in July they finished catching up to June. So they were only caught up for 6 months by the 19th of July.
So then we have July, August, September, and now October. That are they behind the entirety of those 4 months?
They made a payment October the 11th, which would cover July.
It covered, okay, so at that point they were covered through 7 months. So then August, September, and now October, they're still behind.
Correct. And when we started the Zoom meeting back in September, it was made clear that a payment must have been made that day. And they said they were at a job site, and then within a couple hours, they text back with evidence that we sent in that they don't have any rent money, and their unemployment check wasn't big enough. It wasn't about the job site. And then later they said, we couldn't pour concrete today, but during the Zoom meeting, they said they were pouring concrete right then. But by 2:30, they said, well, we ain't got time to get to the bank anyway. And they did say they had the money, but yet they didn't make the payment. If they had the money, they should have said it in the meeting. A lot of the information that they've said today is all pre-existing to that meeting, and none of that stuff was brought up. The bottom line was, it was clear to us that a payment should have been made, partial or full or any, but nothing was attempted. Only for a couple of texts, and still no payment for 26 days after that Zoom meeting.
I see. And
then while we were inspecting the property for winterizing it is when we found all the damage on the property.
Did you file
the physical damage?
Did you file that in the eviction hearing?
The damages were unknown at the time of the eviction hearing.
Then we cannot consider anything
Okay.
about that. We
Okay.
are limited
The thing that was the late fee.
only to the eviction hearing that we held, and then now the CDC declaration, and that's what we were considering
Okay.
Okay. Do you have anything further to say about the CDC hearing?
Well, it seemed very clear that they should use the best efforts to make timely, partial, or full payments. And none of that, it was all agreed upon on the 15th, and none of that was carried through
Okay.
for 26 days.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to go to the Rodriguez's.
Yes, sir, we're here.
Okay, so Anthony and Lacey, you're both there. I've heard your testimony about the difficulties that you've had beginning with the truck being stolen in December and the difficulties since then. In a standard eviction hearing, of course, there is no defense but the payment of rent. We have the added complication at this point of the COVID crisis and the CDC order allowing a declaration of difficulty. And part of the points on the CDC declaration are that partial payments must be made, and that every attempt to get extra aid and so forth, that those steps have all been taken.
Yes, sir.
This is a difficult situation. You can imagine myself sitting here trying to decide between the two parties as to everyone has bills that have to be paid.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There are a
Yes,
couple.
we're still making insurance payments on as no income is available.
Yes, sir. And I understand all of this. I also understand family obligations, but in a standard eviction hearing, if your children were in trouble and you took money took rent money and used it instead to help say adult children, that would not be allowable. Based on the information that has been presented and the fact that you were behind before the COVID crisis began in the middle of March or the early portion of March, I would have to say that I find this declaration to be invalid because there were violations prior to this, and that you have not met the obligations to at least make partial payments during this time.
Judge, can I speak?
Yes, you may.
Okay. I understand that, yes, and I agree, we were late January, February, March. But by March, we were caught up with those 3 months. And then when the COVID crisis hit and I lost my job in March, that's when we started being behind 30 days or more.
Okay.
Hey, Judge, can I speak for a second, please?
Yes, you may speak to me.
Yes, sir. When we first moved to town, we paid 2 months in advance, if I'm not a month in advance. I was confident before all this COVID that I could make my payments, and I would. Being new to town, it was a little bit tough. I worked quite a bit to try to get the ball rolling, marketing, and I know that's probably not a. I'm just being honest with you. I tried my butt off, and I kept going, and it's the best I could do. I got shot down, and then of course sometimes I get a job here and there, and it was just barely enough to make it by. But we did. I've never had a problem with paying my bills, and being new to town was a big part of us being late at first. We did give up some money up front, to try to cover that. That was the plan in my eyes, was to go ahead and try to cover at least a month or two to let me get the ball rolling on getting my business And then the COVID hit and it killed us. But I understand whatever you decide. I respect it, and I just wanted to let you know that's part of why we were late. We gave our best through the whole thing, and we still will, you know. And I have a recovery plan to take care of the Ewings, and I really appreciate y'all guys working with us as much as y'all can, and that's all I've got to say. I respect the judge's decision, and I'll do whatever I've got to do to honor what goes on here.
Okay. Mr. Rodriguez, did you make a first month and a last month? Is that what you're saying, that you paid 2 months initially?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That is not completely true.
What do we paid like the deposit and then the rent, another rent in advance is what I'm saying. I'm sorry. That's what I thought you were asking me. I was.
Okay, well then let me ask Mr. Ewing, Mr. Ewings, what exactly was paid? They entered the contract in November, and they make a November and December payment. It was
2 payments, correct?
Mr. Ewings?
Yes, yes, sir. As of November 19th, they did join the contract. They didn't make payments to cover to January 1st. As January 1st, there was no payments made till February 17th. And that was to cover January's payment. So yes, they paid part of November and all of December in November. But that's not, as of January 1st, they were already behind again. Or, you know, that was their first time to be behind. And they made a payment in February that paid for January. They made another payment in February that paid for February. And then it was March. They paid for March, so it was March 13th. So it was already late. And then there was not another payment made till May. And that was to pay for April. And so it just continued that way. It's like a payment every 2 months.
Mr. Ewings, did you initiate eviction? Did you initiate the eviction prior to March or in March, prior to the COVID?
It was only not officially. It was just by text. It was just, you know, we need payment or we're going to have to start eviction process. And we didn't file until we started the file in September. Was the, you know, it just went on so long with no communication and no seams of hope that we started, you know, actually go to court and get an order read.
We also never received a notice of intent to evict. All we received was a letter from the court.
It was on your front door.
No, sir, it wasn't.
Did I hear in the background Mr. Rodriguez say it was on the door?
No, it wasn't Mr. Rodriguez. That was Mr. Ewing. But this is Ms. Rodriguez. I'm saying there wasn't.
It was attached to the door.
We never received anything.
The daughter called you and told you got it.
No, sir, that was when we were served.
No.
All right. This is a difficult one to decide. I want both parties to understand the difficulty that I'm having in deciding on this. I do not like to put landlords at risk for losing their properties because of the fact that they are not getting paid. And nor do I like to see individuals who have indeed been thrown out of work because of the COVID crisis. I would mention that in a standard eviction hearing, loss of job, loss of health, that there is no other defense other than the payment of rent. The CDC declaration puts us in a little bit different category because we have the CDC has declared that since they locked down the country, that they are putting the the bulk of the responsibility on landlords to not evict tenants who are behind on rent. I don't think that this is fair. I don't think that it is right, but it is unfortunately the law and the framework under which we are operating. Based on this, I am reasonably sure that there is a case for the declaration that income has indeed been lost because of the COVID crisis. I would mention this, that when we abate this until January 1st, all of the money will be owed for the entire amount that has been owed this year. And so this does not set aside anything that is owed. The other thing that I would mention is that partial payments must be made. And of course, the court would consider the situation, of non-payment and partial payments to be a very, very big black mark on the defendants. And so I would say that partial payments must be made before January 1st, that the total amount of rent will be due on January 1st. All back rent will be due at that time. And that there will be, if it is not paid out, there will be a sizable judgment that will be the product of that hearing at that point in time. So I am finding that the declaration is valid, and I am abating the case until January 1st. But I am doing this with a warning to the defendants to make partial payments between now and then. Otherwise, the court will be very, very upset come the January eviction hearing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does everyone
With
understand?
all due respect,
Yes, sir.
we went through this on September 15th, and you said the same thing then. Made it very clear that they would be, this is perjury, that they made a declaration that they needed something, they had something, and they were going to make payment and be good with it. And yet they did not. And we're going back through this again, that I don't see any defense that they're going to step forward and be able to cover $5,000 of the debt in the next 2 months. I think all we're doing is kicking this can down the road. The negative debt is still the negative debt, and now we're at more expenses just because. I don't think that's fair when just a moment ago you said it was not clear that the CDC could protect this because they did not hold all the parts they were supposed to do. They're supposed to be making timely payments, partial or full, and they had none to be made. And even at that time, he gave a clear order on the 15th that they needed to make payment, and they refused to do so. And they told you they were working, but they weren't. They told you that they had money in the bank, but yet they can't get to the bank for 26 days. And there's 3 capable adults that can work, and so nobody can pay their bills.
When I can speak, I'd like to.
Go ahead, Mr. Ewing, proceed, and then we'll go to Mr. Rodriguez.
No, it was me. It was me, Miss Judge. It was me. It was Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Ewing,
Yes, we'll
Judge.
just a moment. Mr. Ewing, go ahead and finish.
You know, it's just frustrating to go through all this and just to get told that you made an order and it doesn't seem to be making an influence. And the second order is the same words. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just, how do we move forward? We keep making payments, but yet I can't go tell the insurance company, I want my insurance, but I'm not going to pay you. I can't pay you. And now, we want to go to the grocery store and we're going to go buy gas, but I'm not going to pay you. And I'm putting it in the name of COVID. That's not clear. That's not what this was for.
I understand. Thank you.
Yes,
Mr. Rodriguez.
yes, sir.
Mr.
Yes, sir. As I mentioned before, very thankful. However, I was gonna, like I mentioned before, I have a plan to get him paid. And things, funnily are looking up, finally, are starting to look up, as far as, my employment goes. There's things that are, walls are getting knocked down on my behalf. I'm meeting people. I just met a guy the other day that is, going to meet with me, regarding some pretty, substantial size work. I see things going in a different direction. I don't know that I'm convincing but I know inside I've never had a problem paying anything. I just needed to get in the rhythm of Lubbock, Texas. The Metroplex is a lot bigger, and I was able to do things there that I moved down here, not to do, but fall behind on my rent. That wasn't the whole thing. Was to come here and be successful, and I can finally see the wheels turning in that. And that it takes a minute for that to happen. So I do have a plan to pay them and get caught up, and then at that time, if y'all guys, I just need a little time to get myself, and that's where I'm going. I think we're in that direction finally. It's tough when you first move into a town that you don't know anything or anybody, and then the COVID comes in and knocks you down even further. So, but we're never going to quit trying. I guarantee you that. It's just a matter of time.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ewings reminded the court that promise that you made some promises back in September, and that you did not honor those promises in a timely manner. Within a day or two after our hearing on the 15th, I think that you made a promise that you would make a payment, and at least by the next day, and payment was not made until October, and that
Yes.
only a partial.
Yes, sir.
Going back to July.
Where's that receipt? Yes, sir. We have, like I said, the date of the unemployment money coming in, it changed throughout this whole process, and I don't know if it's because they have so much going on. I don't know if it's all, even some of their systems have been down, and I haven't been able to process a payment for 2 or 3 days after the day I'm supposed to. So the dates of that have changed over these months so much. It seems as if I'm telling stories, I'm telling lies. Also, the amount has changed. It's gone up and down. Now, that day, I did promise to pay. Our check that came in was only $642. We were also having, and like you said, I know before the COVID that this didn't matter, but this is an issue during the COVID. We're all having it. But we also had, again, truck issues. And I have a receipt looking right at me. On September 17th, we had to put the truck, our only vehicle, back in the shop for $593.
Ma'am, I understand.
We've had issues. We have. We've had big issues. And I don't see the point of giving them $20 left in our bank account. I didn't see the point of that. Now, I would like to give them a substantial amount when I have it. And
that's what we agreed on the 15th, though.
And I could not that day. Mr.
You
Ewing,
shouldn't agree to it.
Yeah, you are not to talk to each other right now. You are
sorry.
Address me, Miss Rodriguez. The as much as I have compassion for your situation with the truck, that does not concern this hearing.
I understand. I'm just giving a situation and just showing or proving that we had other issues as well.
And I accept that.
Thank you.
I'm going to find the declaration valid. I do not like the situation in any way, shape, or fashion. And I would simply caution the defendants that partial payments must be made. And this hearing abates the eviction until January 1st. That is my ruling this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
And yes, we are adjourned at this point in time. Thank you.
I'm going to send them